Hi, I'm Bronwyn Hill, Naturopathic Doctor. I've been in practice for 4 years, and areas of specialty in my practice include fertility, pregnancy-specific care, and pediatrics. An underfunctioning thyroid gland. This is a common concern with many Canadians. The conventional medication for an underfunctioning thyroid gland, which we call that hypothyroidism, is called Synthroid, and I believe it's the second most common prescription drug in Canada. So you can just appreciate that the rates of hypothyroidism are quite high. Now, having a sluggish thyroid gland, a thyroid gland, once again, similar to our adrenals, they build hormone that's used body-wide for a number of different functions. The thyroid gland sits on our neck, it's shaped like a butterfly, and it responds to signals from our brain, and furthermore, the hormones that are produced here are secreted and interact with our ovaries, our adrenal glands, our testes in men. There's a whole chain of communication that goes on. Now, what we build in this gland are thyroid hormones T3 and T4. Those are really critically the signals that get released into our bloodstream, and primarily what they do is encourage cellular energy production. So this will impact other glands' functions and hormone output. And in general, when we think about the signs and symptoms of an underfunctioning thyroid gland, it includes general fatigue, brain fog, low mood, decreased appetite, sluggish digestion, intolerance to cold and temperature fluctuations, hair thinning and falling out, weight gain or difficulty losing weight is another sign of an underfunctioning thyroid because it all has to do with energy metabolism. The thyroid is really responsible for setting our metabolic rate in a way and keeping it steady based on what we eat and our activity levels, stress inputs, all these kinds of things. So it's a very sensitive gland, as any endocrine gland is, and it requires really important building blocks nutritionally, and from foods and herbs we can take a combination of things that support proper balanced function of this gland and building of T3 and T4 hormones. All that together is really critical. So once again, an underfunctioning thyroid is going to be assessed by a healthcare provider. Often we use blood work to identify this. We can check hormones released from the brain and the amount of hormones secreted from the gland to identify exactly what the issue is. But then we have to consider why that's happening. So common reasons the gland starts to underfunction in the first place are nutrient deficiencies, chronic stress levels. If the adrenals are really tired, it's likely that the thyroid is going to get tired eventually. That's a common pattern that I see. Another consideration is autoimmunity, so insults from chronic infections or toxin exposure that tip our immune system off. The immune system's capable of actually attacking our thyroid gland to a degree, which will lead to it underfunctioning in the long run. That's really quite common these days to see that. And once again, it's largely identified by blood work and the symptoms that someone might be experiencing in general. So support for a hypothyroid scenario, an underfunctioning gland, it has to include nutritional building blocks that help us build T3 and T4 more efficiently. That can include iodine, zinc. Selenium is really key of the conversion to the hormones to its most active form so that it's usable by our cells. These are really critical nutrients that we need, and you could be falling short in diet, or it's just that you need more for a period of time to upregulate that gland. Additionally, evidence and a lot of practitioners have found that herbs can support the thyroid gland. So once again, I would sort of call these adaptogenic herbs specific to the thyroid. Some examples of herbs that support thyroid hormone building and regulate, inflammation and other stress to sort of the gland itself include ashwagandha and Coleus forscoli. Those are two classic herbs that we often see in thyroid support formulas. So it's nice to see a synergy of both nutrient building blocks and herbs that regulate normal output from the gland itself. So iodine is involved in properly building a critical sort of like physical component of T3 and T4. Furthermore, it aids in the conversion of T4 to T3. T3 is our most active form of thyroid hormone. So T4 is what we build first, but we have to actively convert it outside of the thyroid gland to T3, that really active form. So iodine and once again selenium and zinc And some of those herbs like ashwagandha and coleus actually aid in the conversion of T4 to T3.